What makes this history play so special is just how often the story ranges across so many parts of the country. The sequel begins in the north and travels south through the Warwickshire countryside that Shakespeare knew so well, but it is not long before we are back in the familiar territory of London, travelling from the grandeur of Westminster to the filth and grime of Eastcheap. Here we meet Falstaff again, and we find him back from the battlefield and enjoying the comforts of the Boar's Head Tavern.
This area of the city at the time would have been a lot like a lot of London is now. That there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of people travelling from other parts of the country, other parts of the world. There's a lot of trade. People from different orders would have felt compelled to speak to each other, to interact with each other, so there would have been that mingling.
Today, the Museum of London is very close to the site where Shakespeare is known to have lived in the early 1600s.
The streetscape has changed radically since the 16th century. London Wall has been punched through, but originally this would be roughly the corner of Silver Street and Monkwell Street, which is where we know where Shakespeare had his lodgings, here in this down ramp to an underground car park. We were in Cheapside, which Shakespeare might have known as Westcheap. Behind us is St Mary Bow. Cheap is a Saxon word that means market, and Eastcheap is where it was the retail place for butchery, so this is where you would go and get your Sunday lunch. It would have been a major shopping market area, quite a busy place as it is today. We walk down Cannon Street, and this is the south side of Eastcheap, and this, more or less, is where the Boar's Head Tavern was. There was a Boar's Head Tavern, and I think it probably existed until about 1830 when the new approach to London Bridge was built. And you can actually see the site of the Boar's Head Tavern on the late Victorian map, so there was awareness of its existence. That pub might have been a bit like some of the pubs you see in Smithfield now, and next to the meat markets there would have been city bankers and blood-stained butchers drinking together. Hal goes for a drink. We're the common folk and they're not bothered about it, so it is quite a levelling area from that point of view. If you look at the copperplate map, basically Shakespeare has no alternative to walk past the Boar's Head Tavern on his commute to work, which I think is really interesting because I'm sure that's where Shakespeare must have sucked a lot of his inspiration from his day-to-day life, things that he saw, the arrival of goods from the Levant. Does that give him inspirations for Othello or that sort of thing? The things that there's little physical evidence or historical evidence are, we can see little seams of it coming out through his writing.